Hello viewers, thank you for joining me. My name is Kehinde. I'm Kehinde Olusola by name, Head of Mathematics Department, Nigerian Tulip International Colleges, NTIC, Abuja, and nationwide. As part of today, we are looking at a very important topic in education. And there are so many important topics in education, but today we are looking at a very important topic. I want to put it in that way because I believe no matter the level of our preparation or preparedness for class, if this is not in our class, then our preparation will amount to nothing. And that's why I said it is very, very important topic in education. The topic is positive framing in education. As an intro to this topic, many of us, especially for us in mathematics department or in any other department, we prepare our lesson. We prepare so much for us to do well in class. We try to do all we could in order for our students to benefit from whatever we want to deliver in the class. Because the essence of us going to class is for our students to benefit from our lesson. But if at the end of the day, after all the preparation, our students at the end could not benefit anything from us, then what is the point of us coming to class? So that's why we believe positive framing is one of the most important topics in education. In many countries, they have looked at a situation where you see so many dropouts from schools, thinking, okay, our teachers are good. We have all the facilities. We have so many things that we can use to deliver the lesson in the class, but still we still have high rate of students leaving the school. And after looking at this, they discover that it is not really about how good the teacher is or the level of preparedness of the teacher for the lesson, but it's as a result of what we do in class, how we talk to our students in class, how we address our students while delivering our lesson. And that's why we are looking at this one positive way of talking to our students or reacting or interacting with our students in class. Positive framing. And before that, I want to start by showing you some pictures. At the end of the presentation or at the end of all the pictures, you should be able to tell us some of the things you observe from these pictures. The first one, we have a picture of a man, or we can consider him as a teacher, in front of about 3 students and like yelling at them. And maybe they are not really interested in what he has to say. And there's another student who believes that I don't have to listen to him. Let me just face down and focus on other things. We also have another one, a teacher, well-dressed, good, and I think is okay. He's looking very well. Students are very happy looking at him, smiling. And then I have the one which I consider as the best, a teacher and the student. They're both smiling, teacher trying to correct something in the note, and student also is listening. I'm sure you have your observations. I'm sure you have seen so many things and you have so many things in your mind. But these are my own observations from the picture. One, I believe that people are motivated by the positive far more by the negative. People are motivated by the positive far more than by the negative. And what this simply means, even the tout on the streets, people we consider as not doing well, they don't have good behaviors, they still want us to say good things about them, not to talk of our students in class. Some of them, we know, they can misbehave, they can do things that we don't like to see, but still, we still have to be positive in correcting them, in correcting their mistakes. So this means that always everybody believe in positivity rather than negativity. 2, seeking success and happiness will spur stronger action than seeking to avoid punishment. Seeking success and happiness will spur stronger action than seeking to avoid punishment. And I give an example of this. For instance, in a class, we have students that you have reported to so many people. You have reported him to the principal, to the vice principal, to the discipline master of the school. The next thing that student does in the class is to just sit down and be looking at the board. Of course, not listening to you. Of course, not interested in what you have to say on the board. But since you have reported him and you will not want anybody to report him again, you will just sit down and be looking at you. So this student is not really interested in showing anything, any understanding of what you are doing. But a student who is very happy in the class, they raise up their hand, they interact with other students in the class, they respond to whatever question you need to ask from them. So that's why we say seeking success and happiness will spur stronger action than seeking to avoid punishment. So those such students, they're only trying to avoid your punishment. So they just sit down and sit still without making any comments, saying anything. Of course, they are not really listening to you, but they just want to avoid your punishment. 3, the power of the positive should influence the way you teach. The power of positive should influence the way you teach. And what that means is we should not always condemn our students. There are so many good things in these students. They may have 1 or 2 things that they are doing that we don't like, but that doesn't mean that they don't have so many positivities in them. And that's why, as a teacher, the positive should influence what we do. The power of positivity should influence how we explain things to our students, how we correct our students, very importantly. So these 3 points are my observations from the pictures. I know you have your own, but just you can add mine to it, I believe. Now we look at what is positive framing in education. What is it? Positive framing in education. And the definition goes thus. Positive framing is the act of motivating and inspiring students, both when correcting behavior and when encouraging students to sustain or elevate academic efforts. So we said positive framing is the act of motivating and inspiring students, both when correcting behavior and when encouraging students to sustain or elevate academic efforts. So there are 2 major things in positive framing. The first one is motivating students, motivating them to do well. And the other one is inspiring them. We correct their behavior and also encourage them in the places or in areas where they are doing something good. Now we look at why does it matter? Why do we do positive framing in our various classes? So number 1, we said set a culture of high expectations through consistent positive corrections. If you are the type that you are always correcting your students in a very positive way, then your students will have higher expectations from you. And as such, you yourself, you have a very high expectation from them. They want to listen to you because they know no matter how the level of their mistake, the level of errors they might have committed, that you will never use that on them. You are still going to correct them in a very positive way. So, and that's why it is important that we should have this culture of positive framing in our lesson. So we said set a culture of high expectations through consistent and positive corrections. 2, it allows teachers to develop relationships with scholars while still maintaining authority. Allow teachers to develop relationships with scholars while still maintaining authorities. You know, the best people in school, some of the best teachers in school are those people that relate with students very well. And it's not like they brought it from heaven, no. It's because of how they interact with the students, how they correct them in class positively. Students want to associate with them. Even if they are being corrected in another way, they still want to associate with this teacher because they know that this man, regardless of what we do, he will still find a positive way to correct our mistakes. So it allows teachers to develop relationships with scholars while still maintaining authority. And that's why they respect these teachers very well in school. Now we have types of positive framing. Types of positive framing. Of course, there are about 6 types of positive framing. Like we said, they are divided into 2. One is correct positively, and constructively. Correct positively and constructively. 2, motivate effort and excellence. So there are 2 ways, or 2 parts of positive framing. Each of them 3. We have, and that's why they are all 6 altogether. So we have 6 types of positive framing. The first part is the part we call correct positively and constructively. The other part is motivate effort and excellence. Now let's look at the correct positively and constructively. The first one under it is live in the now. Live in the now. We have what's called assume the best. We have allow plausible anonymity. And this is the first 3. And then the other 3, which falls under motivate effort and excellence, is narrate the positive, challenge, talk, aspiration. Now let's take them one after the other. The first one is correct positively and constructively. And then we have it as live in the now. Live in the now. When students struggles to meet expectations, provide the next step on the path to success. Tell them specifically what should happen next, rather than what went wrong. And this is common in various classes. Sometimes when we need to correct our students, instead of us to tell them the next thing to do, we're always talking about those mistakes they have committed. As a teacher who wants the best for his or her student should continue with the next step. Tell him or her what she needs to do and not the mistake she has committed or he has committed in the past. So this is very important for us. So we said live in the now. Forget about the past and continue with the present. Live in the now. So we see an example. In this example, I have the first part as rather than this line, rather than this, you should say live in the now. You should live in the now. So the first one is Olu, stop looking back at Kenny. Instead of saying Olu, stop looking back at Kenny, I can say it in a better way, in the live in the now way. I will say, Olu, I need your eyes forward. Simple. Example 2. Class, some of us are looking out the window. Instead of this, I will say, show me your eyes, class. Class, you are not paying attention. I will say, or instead of saying this, I should say, class, who would like to explain what I just said? So these are examples of live in the now. Number 2 is assume the best. We should assume the best for our students. We often assume intentionality behind the mistake. Our words imply that you did it on purpose, or worse, you were selfish, deliberately disrespectful, or lazy. Show that you assume they will obey you. And what this means is we shouldn't always assume that our students will disobey us. We shouldn't always assume that our students, they are coming to disrupt our class. They are coming to cause problem in our class. No. Even if we have an experience of such before, we shouldn't think in that way, but rather we should think, today in this class, my students are going to be good. And this is what we refer to as assume the best. And this will zero our mind towards our students. We don't have to be thinking that a student wants to talk on him. You want to start again. No. So we should always assume the best with our students in class. And then they give us some words that we can use to show assume the best. The first one is some of us are so excited. A couple of us forgot. I wasn't clear enough. It seems like a few of us might be confused. And I give an example. And I have about 3 examples here. The first one, so I said, instead of saying this, you should assume the best. Stop trying to disrupt class. Instead of saying stop trying to disrupt class, I can say, some of you are so excited that you forgot you are in the class. Why won't you use the feedback I gave you on your last assignment? Then I should say, a couple of you forgot to use the feedback I gave you on your last assignment. Just a minute. Some people appear not to understand the directions. So let me give them again. Instead of saying this, you can say, just a minute, class. I must not have been clear. I want you to find every verb in the paragraph, working silently on your own. Number 3, we have Allow plausible anonymity. If it is ever possible, work on correcting students without using their names or pointing them out, as your job isn't to call out students for doing something wrong, but rather to make the class work together to do things correctly. And what this means is, we don't have to be mentioning names when a student make mistake in the class. There's no point. Just make a general correction and let things move on the way it should. So calling out names, we believe, is one of those things that distract or that make students not to listen to teacher, don't want to listen to teacher, because he's always calling my name. He's always shouting my name, that I did this, I did that. Why? Why not just correct everybody in the class? And I know, since, of course, I was one that did it, I know that indirectly the teacher was just talking to me. So why always calling my name? And this is true. So as teachers, we should, as a matter of fact, that we should correct our students, but without mentioning their names. This is very important for us. I also give some examples. You observe this in your class. Now, instead of saying this, say this to them. If a few students struggle to follow your directions, then I can say that check yourself to make sure you've done exactly what I have asked. I don't need to mention the names of those students who are struggling with whatever in my class. 2, you observe some few students whispering and not paying attention. I don't have to mention those students that are whispering in my class or not paying attention in my class. I can just say make a general statement. I would like everyone to pay attention and not talking right now. Simple. I've made my corrections, and those people that were not listening or not paying attention would have understood that this man is talking to them. Now, we have a few activity, but maybe not important for the purpose of this. Of course, when we are doing the physical one, we have it, and it was very interesting. The fourth one, and that we go under motivate effort and excellence. So the first one under motivate effort and excellence, which we call the number 4, is build momentum and narrate the positive. So in this part, we are only motivating their effort, what they have done, what they are doing. Motivate them. Let them know that they are doing well. Let them know that, like encouraging them. Let them know that they are not that poor. They are doing their best, and they're making a good result of it. So we said momentum is what keeps your class activities moving forward. As a teacher, you are the one who directs class momentum. You need to be able to use your words to push the student forward and keep them on task. Draw attention to the good things that are happening in the classroom. So this, like I explained, it is good as teacher, we should encourage our students, tell them those things they are doing that is good, encourage them, motivate them, let them do more. I also have some examples. The first one, narrate the positive. I see a lot of hands. The left side of the room is really with it, like encouraging them while you're asking them questions. Also, I see 5, 6, 7 hands. Now 10 hands ready to start reading. It's a way of motivating. I'm in a class of 20 students, and I say, who can do this on the board? And I see 2 people raising their hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like a way of motivating them. And you see, more we also join to raise up their hand to do something positive in the class. And this is the third one is a non-example that narrates your weakness. And the example is, I'm seeing the same few hands. A lot of you are not participating, and it's going to show up in your participation grade. So this is not an encouragement for students. We shouldn't threaten our students with their grades because they are not really participating in class, but rather we should find a way to say it in a positive way that they want to participate in our classes. Number 5 is challenge. Students love to be challenged, to prove they can do things, to compete, to win. So challenge them, exhort them to prove what they can do by building competition into the day. So this is very important. Challenge your students. Challenge them. Give them work. Have a debate between boys and girls in the class. And you see more potentials will come out of many of your students. I also have some examples. One, you've got the idea, but let me hear you use the word elusive in your answer. Can you do it? Like a way of motivating him to do something. The JS1 girls are killing it, boys. Can you keep the pace? Like, again, trying to motivate them, trying to show them they can do better than even the boys or the girls. And number 6, the final one, is we have talk expectations and aspirations. Communicate with your students about their future goals in life and where they are going. When they are all doing well, tell them that you think they look like scholars. This will build them up and give them confidence to work towards their goals. So we talk about the categories of teacher. There are about 3 categories of teacher. We have a good teacher, and a good teacher only comes to class to explain. A better teacher comes to class to demonstrate. But an excellent teacher inspires his or her students. So this should be our work. Our work should not be only talking about grades. We should only inspire our students that they can do well, that place they think they cannot be. They can be it and be even more than it. So this is also part of our work. And these are ways by which we can encourage our students in class, we can make our students better, can give them hope that, no, forget about the grades you have. You can do it. Make effort, put more effort, push yourself, and at the end of the day, you should be able to make it. I also have example to JS1. Good boy. Good boy. Now, let me hear you make it a JS2 class. Answer by using the word product. Like a JS1 is answering a question, and the teacher is trying to encourage this boy to answer it like a JS2 student. You know, what it means is, okay, you have done it in a JS1 way. Now, can you try and do it in a JS2 way? Good boy. Now, let me hear you make it a JS2 class answer by using the word product, and so on. Example 2, can you answer that in the words of a scientist? The student is able to answer the question, but the teacher is trying to encourage him to answer it like a scientist. And this is a way of encouraging our students to do. And conclusively, we have like what I consider as a misconception. The power of the positive should influence the way you teach. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be meticulous about responding to off-tasks or non-constructive behavior. For example, you still need to fix and improve behavior, and you need to do so consistently and with clear and firm consequences when necessary. But the interventions will be far more effective if they are framed positively. And thank you, and God bless.